I'm doing my speech today on presidential election in the United States, American democracy, why the presidential election needs a tune-up. Speech. From Savastano. Well, I'll just give you a background of the election process. First, there's the nomination of the I guess they pick the people who they're going to nominate for president, like the people for the primaries and caucuses. But there's two ways. There's the primaries, in which people vote within a state who they want to be their political runner for president, and then they have other states like Alaska, Colorado, Hawaii, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Nevada, North Dakota, Washington, Louisiana, but only Democrats have a caucus in that state. Montana, only Republicans have a caucus in that state, and Nebraska, only Democrats have a caucus in that state, which is pretty much like members of the political parties gather together to choose a nominee for president. Part two, which is the actual election. People vote for the candidate, and the winner of the state's electoral representative. The winner of the state's votes, electoral representatives are chosen by number of votes Canada receives. Electors equal to the amount of congressmen the state is entitled to, which is cited from the Constitution. Maine and Nebraska have the congressional district method, which is the winner of the state is awarded two electors, but they still divvy out the electors between certain districts of the states and counties and such. So it's not if you win the state, but the one guy wins a lot more counties, it's not unfairly distributed between electors. Why it needs to change: if you win the election by the popular vote, doesn't mean you won the election. This happened 3 times in history: Rutherford B. Hayes, Benjamin Harrison, and more recently that anyone can relate to is George W. Bush in 2000. They all didn't win the popular election, but they still managed to win the election by electoral votes. Another reason why it needs to change is because, to take a state like Wyoming, they're granted 3 electoral votes for the winning of the state, and a state like Texas is granted 38. The voting age population of Wyoming is only 433,221, and the voting age population of Texas is over 18 million, which is 40 times the amount of people of voting age as Wyoming, but only gets a little over 10 times the electoral votes, which is grossly disproportionate. And I got the picture from the cspan.org, it's a campaign map. Counter-arguments are, it maintains a federal system of government and representation, which I suppose is trying to keep the country together by making a state not feel as it's not important at all just because it doesn't have a high population. And it also contributes to the political stability of the nation by encouraging a 2-party system, which is, I guess, they're well, if we made it just popular vote, people might want to not just vote inside the parties, which I don't really agree with. I think if it was popular vote, people would be more satisfied with it because everyone's vote would seemingly count a little bit more than it does now. What I think can be done, this is just my opinion, is either a straight democracy, which would be the popular vote, which they don't need to go through all the processes and expenses of going through the voting for the electors who then vote for the president. They could just have a democracy where it's just the people's votes that count, or they could have it more like a straight republic, which voters directly elect the representatives through popular election, so they could vote for the people who would choose who will be the leaders of the nation, rather than just voting for the president, thinking that they themselves are voting for the president, but really they're just voting to see who can vote for the president.